South China Morning Post, 10th of November 2022, free trade discussions between China and El Salvador show Beijing's expansion into the backyard of the U.S. The start of free trade negotiations between China and El Salvador is a jab at the Central American nation's longtime friend Taiwan and potentially a new foothold for Beijing in a region with close historical links to Washington. After meeting with Beijing's envoy to El Salvador, Jianhong, President Nayib Bukele tweeted on Wednesday that El Salvador will sign a free trade agreement with China. The Trade Ministry of China stated on Thursday that both parties hope to start talks as soon as feasible. According to the statement released on Thursday, since the creation of bilateral ties, the two sides have gained significant consensus at the head of state level to push strengthening all areas of trade and the economy and achieve rich outcomes. To explore the prospects of two-way cooperation further, China and El Salvador want to begin the procedures necessary for holding free trade negotiations as soon as possible. We will do everything possible to ensure they are completed as quickly as possible. After severing ties with Taiwan, El Salvador established diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China in 2018. Beijing views independent Taiwan as a territory that should be reunited with the mainland. Taiwanese officials claim that the continent has shifted diplomatic recognition in Beijing's favor by using its economic might to pressure Taipei's friends. Currently, Taiwan is diplomatically recognized by just 14 nations. A court in 2019 halted El Salvador's attempt to revoke a free trade agreement that was agreed to with Taiwan in 2007, but only after the crucial sugar sector in the Central American nation objected. Alex Cheong, a retired professor of international politics at National Chengchi University in Taipei, claimed that this was simply a tiny element of a larger plan to isolate Taiwan further. Some of Taiwan's allies can profit economically from the mainland, and Taiwan cannot compete with China. Due to geographical closeness and Cold War-era political and commercial interests, the U.S. has historically been Central America's leading trading partner. Chinese involvement in El Salvador is unquestionably a warning to the Biden administration, according to Taiwanese foreign policy writer Wang Weiqie. Washington agreed to decrease duties when it struck a trade agreement with El Salvador and 5 other Central American nations in 2004. By 2018, shipments between the countries totaled $57.4 billion, making them the U.S.'s 18th largest goods trading partner. Free trade agreements exist between China and Chile, Peru, and Costa Rica, and Beijing is also in negotiations with 5 other nations in Latin America. Since 2018, U.S. officials have been locked in a trade war with China, limiting high-tech commerce between the two countries. At the same time, Washington, Wang added, is shunning forging bilateral trade agreements with other nations. Because China has recently made advances into the U.S.'s backyard of Central and South America, Cheong added, the U.S. should be more concerned. According to Cheong, trade with El Salvador has minimal effect on Taiwan or the People's Republic of China. The 6.5 million person nation, which has a GNP of only $32 billion annually, exports low-value manufactured commodities along with sugar, coffee, and seafood. However, according to Cheong, El Salvador might gain from mainland China's infrastructure and capital know-how. According to a tweet from El Salvador's presidential office, China has provided 900 tons of wheat flour to small and medium-sized bakeries, which claimed that this would minimize the impact of the economic crisis for Salvadorans.